My Tesla stock price target for year end 2024 is $3,000 per share. In 2024, I am expecting the two biggest catalysts to date in the history of Tesla.
I'm predicting that Tesla stock price in about 15 years will be somewhere around $48,893, which from today's date is roughly 47x where we are today, which is a lot.
Hi friends, welcome back. So it is scary times in Tesla stock pumperland, and you got to see the headlines for yourself because they are crazy. Headlines: Tesla on track for worst week since January. Citi to quote, remain on the sidelines. Moreover, get this, Tesla is the worst performing stock in the S&P 500 this year. And Elon Musk's Tesla is now the worst performing S&P stock year to date. You got to see the numbers for yourself. I'll show you right here. So this is Tesla year to date as of recording is down 31.8%. That is even worse than Boeing, if you can imagine that. Worse than Charter, worse than Walgreens, and worse than Etsy. Yes, it is the worst performing stock in the S&P 500 this year. If you would have put your money in NVIDIA, you would be crushing it, up 83%. Even Bitcoin is outperforming Tesla, up 73%. And even if you just put your money in the S&P as an index, up 8.56%. So yes, Tesla is in fact the worst performing stock in the S&P 500. And I want to go through some of the details of this stuff because, you know, I get it, guys. If you watch Tesla stock pumperland, they're just telling you that this is the most awesome stock ever, which is completely not the case. I mean, you can clearly see it is the worst performing stock in the S&P 500. And moreover, it is got hit with a downgrade today. This is from Wells Fargo. They're basically saying, yo, this is a growth stock with no growth. That really hurts. Here's another headline. Tesla slips as Wells Fargo warns of waning effect of price cuts over demand. And this is a growth company with no growth. Moreover, they're even saying there's a possibility that there may be a drop in sales. The headline here, Tesla gets tagged with one thinkable call, sales will fall. You know, guys, I show you this stuff because if you just watch Pumper TV, they act like all this news is fake. Oh, yes, this stock price is fake. Yes, all these numbers are fake. That's how they act. But I like to show you guys the real numbers in this stuff. And this is actually stuff that Tesla says themselves, coming from them. It's not from any sort of crazy media analyst or anything like that. This was Tesla themselves saying that their sales will be notably lower. You can actually look for the chart for yourself. This is their sales. Yes, they were on a path to growth in the past. You guys can see that there. But their sales have actually been not so great and actually flat. And that's the issue. The issue is if you're buying the stock because you're expecting hockey stick growth, exponential growth, meaning you know it's going to double every year, that kind of stuff. It's just not happening. It's just not happening. And here's some of the quotes from this stuff. You can hear what people are saying. Again, growth company with no growth. And we're worried about concerns, right? If you are selling cars in China, but then you're experiencing more competition in China from BYD and other makers, right? That's going to be tough going. So you got to cut prices, and that's going to hurt your margins. You're expecting more competition in USA. Again, you're going to have to cut prices. It's going to hurt your margins. And moreover, the overall sentiment for EVs may be down. Interest rates are up. So people are like, I don't really want to buy an expensive car right now. It's just not great. And then moreover, here's another quote here. Quote, right now the market is voting and telling us it believes Tesla does not currently deserve that high valuation. For now, the sellers are in control and the market needs a bullish catalyst to get excited about. And what's that going to be? You know, Elon Musk keeps saying, hey guys, the Cybertruck's going to be awesome. And maybe it's fun to talk about it on social media, but are people actually buying the dang thing? And also too, can they make enough of them to even make a difference in terms of both sales and profitability / earnings? Elon Musk is trying to say, hey guys, you know, we're going to be selling these new Tesla sports cars. And like, who knows? I think they're going to show you the thing at the end of the year. They might even go on sale to like a couple of years from now. I mean, like, and again, who knows? It's not really going to move the needle enough. And that's essentially what you're looking for, is like, what is a reason that you'd want to buy said stock? This is Dan Ives. So he is actually the ultimate Tesla pumper. He's a guy that wears the pink suits on CNBC. You'll see him. I'm not making it up. He makes purple, pink suits. And he's always saying everything's going to double to the moon all the time. This is a quote from him. He says, Dan Ives, the Tesla narrative is as negative as we've seen it the last few years, with Musk and Tesla getting attacked by bears from all directions, right? This is again from Dan Ives from March 13th. He also says, we have been here before with Musk Tesla a number of times over the last decade, as the doubters have said the Tesla story is done and electric vehicles are a fad, not a long-term transformation trend that will change the auto industry. The thing I always have a problem with the whole Tesla narrative, guys, is that it is a premium car or even luxury car, right? So it is more expensive than the average. And the idea that it's just going to dominate the market is always ludicrous because by definition, being premium or luxury, not everyone can afford to buy it. The other issue that I have with the Tesla thing is like when Elon Musk tells you it's going to be worth, the same as Apple and Aramco combined, basically double the price of Apple. It's a ludicrous assumption or ludicrous statement because essentially the idea is, remember, Tesla is a premium product and you want to compare that to, say, phones. Because people say, oh, well, look at Apple. Look how awesome Apple is. Here's a primary difference, guys. Kids can't drive a Tesla. Kids aren't going to buy a Tesla, right? You can correct me if I'm wrong, but someone in middle school is not going to have a Tesla, whereas someone in middle school can, in fact, have an iPhone. That is a big difference. There is a very, very different market for something like an Apple because essentially you can put one in every household. Moreover, you could have 5 in every household theoretically if every member of your household has an iPhone, but not every member of your household is going to have a Tesla. Just the market's going to be much, much smaller inherently. Also, too, some parts of the world, they don't use cars, not the same way that they would Tesla. Even just in USA, like in New York City, you don't really want a car. It's like ridiculously congested, these kind of things. And I get it. If you live out in the middle of nowhere in USA, you're like, hey, there's no public transportation anywhere. Everyone drives a car, but not necessarily, right? Even in cold weather climates as well, not necessarily everyone wants electric vehicles. So this idea that Tesla would be as ubiquitous as iPhone, I think is just ludicrous. But that's something what Pumperland tries to tell you. And if that's not the case, they'll try to say, well, everyone is going to have, 10 robots in their house. And it's just pipe dreams, guys. And I hate to break it to you, but it is what it is. And I hope, for those of you who are new to the market, because I know for Tesla, there are a lot of new people in here. You'll always see these kind of things where it's like, the retail investors are pouring in this thing. It's the most popular stock, right? It's fun to talk about. Elon Musk, your CEO, talks about Dogecoin and dog coins and sheep coins and, kitty coins or whatever. And we're going to look back 20 years from now and just laugh at this stuff. You're like, why were people like into this thing where like the CEO was like off doing some social media company and like messing around with that and like kind of abandoned his car company and then start talking about crypto? We're going to laugh about that 20 years from now. I understand that you're crying and it's sad and you're down whatever 50% today. And I know it's tough, guys. I know. But you got to learn from your mistakes. And you're also going to laugh back and you'll be like, why did I listen to that dude with the backwards baseball hat on YouTube? It is what it is. But again, learn from your mistakes. Now, why are some of the people still pumping Tesla? Well, I want to show you something here. You may or may not know this, but Elon Musk had to borrow a bunch of money to buy Twitter. And who was giving him that money? I may not know this, but several banks, and one of the leading one was actually Morgan Stanley, and that they were trying to essentially figure out a way for Elon Musk to pay them back. That's basically what it's all about. So we're going to refinance it, etc. Moreover, it's no coincidence that Morgan Stanley's price targets on Tesla stock is the highest on Wall Street. I mean, they need Elon Musk to get value up in this thing so he can sell it to pay them back. That's what we're talking about here. The other issue is too as well, and I'll show you guys this stuff, is the valuation of Tesla hasn't been good. So we'll click on here and you can actually take a look at this. You got a D- score in valuation, not good. And it boils down to your P/E ratio is at what? The last 12 months, 56? Going forward, also 56. Again, not good. And the crazy thing is, I've seen Tesla pumper channels that say, oh, well, 56 is a great P/E ratio. Look at compared to NVIDIA. But like, if you compare one bubble asset to another bubble asset, that's what you're going to get. But if you compare it to something like an Apple, which sits in the 20s, Tesla is like double of that, which is ludicrous. Now, if you don't understand what this stuff means, P/E ratio basically is the price of the stock compared to how much a company earns. And like what would be considered, reasonable? Well, you want your P/E ratio to be sort of relative to your growth, right? So remember, Tesla's growth is slowing. Now, here's the thing. We don't know exactly what it's going to be in the future, but we can see the numbers are slowing down. So for example, this is just revenue, not profits, but revenue. Maybe you're looking at like an 18%, maybe 17%, maybe. But remember then Wells Fargo is saying, wow, we might even go negative growth. So that's when your P is starting to get way out of whack. Because if your revenue growth is 18 and your PE is like 56, that's like way out of whack, right? You probably want a PE closer to growth, right? So you're probably looking at PE maybe in 15, something like that. But again, this is just revenue. If you want to look at EPS, right, you might be looking at an 18 growth or even a 3% growth. So then if you're saying, okay, Tesla's going to have earnings growth of like 3%, then you need a PE of like 5, like in that range, which isn't so crazy because it just, for example, you just take a look at something like Ford. Take a look at their let's look at their valuation here. Their PEs are like the 5 and 6s, right? So that's where Tesla is grossly overvalued, like 10 times overvalued if you compare it to Ford. But yes, I totally get it. I totally agree with you as well. I know the Tesla bulls out there say, well, Tesla's way better than Ford. I totally agree. So it's going to be somewhere between there, right? I would agree that Tesla is better than Ford in terms of PE, but how much better? Maybe double. So maybe you want talking about going back to Tesla here, we'll go back to it here. Maybe you're going to want a PE of like 10 or 15. That's what I was saying. And you're at 56. So, this thing may never actually trade at its reasonable, valuation. However, it is grossly overvalued, and that's sort of what we're seeing right now. And it's kind of hard to sell this, I'm going to grow forever, narrative when it's just clearly not happening. It's not in the numbers, and they're not delivering on SSD. They're not delivering on, whatever that $25,000 car thing. And I understand the pumpers are going to try to keep pumping it to the moon, but there comes a point when you just don't believe the lies anymore. And this is sort of why I have to show you guys these things. But yes, it actually is the worst stock to date. Moreover, for those of you who are new to the market, let me show you this. This is actually Cisco. And you may or not know this. I'm actually 49, just had my birthday recently, so I'm pushing 50. And I lived through the stuff. I lived through the .com bubble. I remember all these hype companies and the new internet and everything was .com. And so the narrative was correct, right? It was correct that we're going to have an internet. That was all correct. But the valuations didn't necessarily match, meaning that the way we value companies. So at that time, people were buying Cisco way the heck up there. The stock obviously crashed. You guys can see they're there. And the company did stay in business, but it just never recovered, right? And so do I see something similar happening with Tesla? Yes, absolutely. There's certainly a possibility of that because, guys, it is a car company. I hate to break it to you, but the car industry is really, really competitive. There's a lot of choices out there, right? If I don't buy a Tesla, think of all the brands. I could buy a Porsche, I could buy a BMW, I could buy a Mercedes, I could buy a Hyundai, I could buy a Kia, I could buy a Ford, I could buy a GM, I could buy a Jeep, I could buy a Volkswagen, I could buy a Toyota, I could buy a Honda, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like this idea that Tesla's the only car maker in the world is just ludicrous. So, I understand people get upset and stuff like that. But it is what it is. And, I try to warn you guys and mention it to you, but, all I can do is show you numbers, and I can show you this as well. If you were smart enough to know that Tesla was overvalued, you could have gone on the bearish side. And in fact, people who have done very, very well, up 90%. So year to date. So, again, Tesla stock is the worst performing stock of the year. This is the headlines. And the last number I want to show you is Elon Musk is actually 52 years old. And I think this is an important number. It's something that people downplay. They act like, who are the bulls, act like Musk is going to work there forever. I don't think so. I would think he's on his way out anytime soon. And it could be this year, it could be next year, next couple of years, but I don't see him working past 60 for sure. I just don't see it. So if you believe it, if you believe Elon Musk is going to work past 60, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. But all these things going around with him all the time, all the drama. He's got 10 kids, he's doing drugs, and they got to sue this person, sue that person. He's in a fight with AI at the moment, the OpenAI people, and it's just too much drama for me. And again, it's just a car company, and I don't know why people expect this thing to go to the moon when they sell cars. But it is what it is. So thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you next video.